Hey guys, what's up? And this is my second attempt at trying to record this freaking video because, well, here's a pro tip. Make sure your mic is on before you record a video. Anyway, there was a couple of other videos that I was planning to post up. I had actually already recorded them, edited them, all that type of stuff, and they were ready to go up. And then after watching them again, I realized that they weren't that important. At least to me, they weren't that important. I was going to talk about government and its use and how it's been abused and the misconceptions people tend to have about it and whether we need it at all. But in light of what I'm seeing in this country and around the world, with the Occupy movements, the different democratic movements happening across the board, the anger people are having over the financial institutions, and all these types of things going on, I'm realizing it's a lot more important for me to try to open up some dialogue on this rather than just simply putting my opinion out there. No matter how much people may like the opinion or want to have a discussion based on that opinion, because I honestly think right now is a time for discussion and examination of ideas amongst ourselves. Ourselves meaning, us, the public, just everyday people. This is the time for us to actually have a dialogue and really discuss what we think the future of our societies hold and where we're headed and where we would like to be headed. I think that's a bit more important than me just simply putting my opinion out there. So in light of that, I would like to ask a couple of questions, and I want to ask to get certain people's perspectives on some things, just so that I can compare them to my own and see if I'm lacking anything, or if I'm let's put it right here. I know I'm probably lacking in a lot of things in terms of, different world perspectives. That's why we constantly try to learn and research shit. No human being knows it all. But, so I guess some thoughts seem to be a little bit closer to complete than others. And the ones I'm a bit more sure about are the ones that I'm ready to just go out and say, that's my stance, unless you can, prove me wrong. This one, even though I do have a stance on, I still want to hear a few more perspectives and have a dialogue on this. But let me stop stalling and get on with it. Right now, we're hearing a whole lot about people's perspectives on what they think an ideal society is. And we know about different groups that have certain views of what they think an ideal society should be like. You got more dogmatic groups, whether it's religious groups or whatever, conservative groups, who already have this kind of straight function of the way their society they think should function. This person has this role, this group has this role, that group has this role, these are the set of rules, and that's it. You fucking follow that, and that's that. Other people have a bit more of a free-form type of system where they believe that anybody could be able to achieve whatever they want to achieve, just don't stand in their fucking way. Some people believe that when you're dealing with complex societies, there has to be some form of bureaucracy in place, some type of governance. Other people will argue that government itself is the problem. You get rid of that and you won't have all this corruption going on. And other people argue that no, it's the fact that we allow people to corrupt governments that cause the corruption to happen, and we need to be able to seize it. There's all this argument about whether government should be big, small, inclusive, non-inclusive. What type of system of society should you have? A monarchistic one, a more freer democratic type one, republic, dictatorship, what have you. So in light of all this, what I'd like to ask the people who have actually been sitting down and say reading the books on this or the different essays, checking out different people's perspectives, watching crazy ass videos like mine, what do you guys happen to think we happen to be moving towards in a society? And I apologize right now. This is a kind of general question I'm asking because this can go anywhere. I apologize for that, but I'm doing this on purpose because I really think that the more I try to frame this in a way that gets you to think about it, the less of a chance we're going to have to deal with just the same old bullet points that we hear from the same old propagandistic circles over and over again. I mean, we know the stock answers that people on the left or the right or whatever the fuck they happen to be standing are going to give us. Fuck that. I want some thoughtful discussion on this. Even if you happen to be someone who identifies with a particular ideology, give me some thoughtful reasons why. Don't just simply repeat the same shit that I can easily get from visiting some idiot's blog. I want something that shows that you've actually been thinking about it, and that you're even willing to put your own ideology to the test. Because right now is the time, I personally think, for average people who are concerned with where their societies are going to truly sit down amongst ourselves and discuss things. And as we're hashing out these ideas and discussing things amongst each other, we help to spread these ideas among other people, whatever, the good ideas, mind you. Because I personally believe that's how we can end up coming with a society that can serve all of us as positively as possible. Now, I will at least throw not my full, but bits of my own opinion on things just to get the ball rolling. But again, I would like, this is not just to throw my opinion and say this is it. This is more, again, just to show you where I'm going, and if you happen to be for it or against it, or if you see something that needs to be supplied to it, feel free. And this is opening the floor to, of course, to people who watch my videos on my channel, but there's also some specific people who I'm going to be sending this video to who I'm really hoping to get a response from. But anyway, from my meager understanding of history and political movements and the way societies seem to be developing, it seems to me that we've slowly been trying to come up with some type of society where people are freer than they had been. In other words, there seems to first be some type of society where one person or a small group of people make up the rules, and they rule from this sort of standpoint of absolute authority that no one else can really access. Whether you could say it starts off with, and I'm speaking very generally here, it starts off with a kind of religious base. Oh, God basically put me down here to rule over you motherfuckers. All my rules come from God. These laws are God's laws, and you follow these or else. And as we started moving away from that, there still was that kind of link to the divine, or that type of link to some type of absolute power, which gave you the mark of authority, and everyone else pretty much had to submit to it. Some other people would say that mark of authority would just be somewhat simpler to a whole might makes right type of rule. Well, I got the sharpest sword and I can cut your fucking head off. That gives you my right to rule, listen or else. I guess you can go simplistically with that, or some people can argue that was the more religious stance all along, but that's not really what I'm focusing on. But that sort of system we've been moving away from, it seems to me, where people are now saying that no, you don't get the mandate to rule from some invisible entity that we can't access. You're actually getting it from us, and we can take it away from you as we see fit. And they basically have been getting more power for themselves in deciding how society should run, and how free the people in that society get to be. I mean, you can see this in different ways. It doesn't just have to be some straight-on revolution, like, say, the French Revolution or something like that. It can be seen in other ways, like civil rights movements, women's suffrage, gay rights, all these different things where people who were once maligned or seen as like second-class citizens or being stomped on in some way are basically saying, no, we have equal access to society just as much as you do, and we should also have a say in how the society develops. I'm not just simply talking about government-wise or politically-wise, but also culturally and, society-wise, like how free they're able to develop and achieve things in that society. It seems that we're moving more and more towards something that where not a few group of people get to dictate how things get to be, and that the rules aren't so strict on, oh, well, because you were born this way or because you happen to be part of this particular group of people, you have access to this amount of privileges, and these people are access to a lot more privileges or a lot less. It's like people are trying to all get an equal share of the pie. That seems to me the struggle we've been having. But in light of all that, we also seem to be backsliding a bit. For every big revolutionary movement or every type of ultimate movement that seems to grab power from the more privileged to the less privileged, there seems to be a bit of a backsliding, and it usually comes in the form of apathy or some type of malaise among the general public, where they're not willing to accept the responsibilities that you would need in order to wield that type of guiding power. The power in order to affect the direction of a society and how it functions and where it's headed. And with that lack of wanting to take responsibility for wielding that power, it leaves the room open for other people who have no problem reaching for power to come in and then deny others that same access. where that's where the corruption sets in, that's where the tyranny comes in, and then you once again right back to where you started. Regardless of what type of system you may have in place, no matter how free you think your system was supposed to be put in place, something's gonna fuck it up. I mean, I guess to come up with a more recent example, look at what happened with Gaddafi, who we just found out has been recently killed. When he formed his revolution, it was supposed to be giving power to the people. It was supposed to be some type of, that's why he called it his revolutionary movement. We're going to come in and then we're going to free our land. And then later on people are saying that this place is a fucking tyranny. It sucks. It's like it seems to keep going towards that. So in light of all that, me personally, I think that it seems that we seem to naturally be heading towards a more freer society, but something keeps putting us back to a more restrictive one. What's causing it? That's one of my questions. What's causing that? Or do I have that perspective wrong? Is it that we shouldn't be going toward a freer society? If we're moving toward a freer society, that's where the chaos comes in, and we need to come up with a more structured, orderly one. And what I mean by structured, orderly one, I know I'm using kind of misleading terms here. Look, I'm not trying to say that a freer society is less orderly. That's not true. But what I mean more is like this kind of strict, regimented set of, well, if you're part of this class, you're here. If you're in this class, you're up here. If you're this gender, you're here. If you're this gender, you're over here. If there's there's a certain hierarchy that's set up. And there are a lot of people who have argued that this hierarchy is the way things should be. I'm not just talking about religious people. There are people who I've argued with who've actually stated that the biggest problem we have is the fact that we are trying to have a democracy. Because you got too many fucking idiots who can dictate the way things go. You need to keep it limited to a group of people who actually are smart enough to, dictate the way things should be. And then once you do that, then you'll have, peace and less corruption and that sort of thing. I've heard that argued. And while I don't agree with it, I can see what they're talking about. Do some of you guys happen to think the same thing? I honestly think this is, with all the, the confusion happening right now, the discontent, the worry about where our societies are headed, this is a good time for us to discuss what do you think our society should be marching towards and why. And I don't want to just simply limit it to, do you think it should be a free society or not? I'm also opening the floor of, what do you think about the role of government in all this? Do you think it's just an abstract tool that's been abused, or do you think it needs to be completely wiped out? I know we've been over some of these subjects before, but too many times whenever I try to touch on these subjects, once again, I just hear the same old rhetoric. I don't want to hear the same old rhetoric. I want to hear some thoughtful discussion on this. That's why I'm posting it out here, because in light of all the movements that are happening, it seems that this is the time ripe for it. What do you think that our society should be heading towards? What do you think our society is heading towards? Do you think that there's something holding us back? Do you think that this is just a natural evolution? Do you think what we're going through right now is just a phase? Is this just another cycle where we're going to be heading back towards something that's going to be a bit more oppressive? Do we have a chance to get it right this time? Do we already have it right? Are we heading towards something wrong? This is the sort of thing that I would like to hear. I do apologize right now for making this so broad and so general. But I don't want to go... It's from starting here that we can get to the specifics, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I think. Like, kind of keeping it a little bit broad for us to jump on this big topic and then get to the details. Well, I think that will yield some rather interesting ideas and some interesting responses. And again, I definitely, if you want to make a response video to this, that would be great. Comments are fine. Thoughtful response videos would be great too. Thoughtful comments, definitely. But nothing stupid, please. If it's going to be stupid, I'll call you on it. If it's going to be the same old propaganda shit that I've been hearing from people, I'll call you on it. If you're just going to make a blanket statement and you're not going to back it up, I will challenge it. Even if I agree with you, but you're just making a blanket statement, I will still challenge it. Like, I don't want to hear, for instance, the same old blanket term, government is the problem. Okay, why? Why is it the problem? Don't just simply say it because someone else told you or you read it somewhere. Why do you think it's the problem? Because I can come back and say, look, it's just a fucking tool. There are a lot of people arguing that guns are not the problem. It's the idiots who don't know how to use them right and who are just committing violent crimes are the problem, but a gun is just a tool. If you're somebody who believes in gun rights, but yet you're the same person who believes that government needs to be gotten rid of, and yet government itself is just a tool, you're kind of making yourself to be a bit of a hypocrite. Unless you can come up with a really good reason why somehow the two, aren't exactly the same argument. Give me something here. This is the sort of thing I'm talking about. You gotta go beyond the idealistic bullshit that people are feeding. Because these days, especially in the US, all I'm hearing is one ideologue shouting at another ideologue. No facts are really being stated. No actual thought is being engaged. There's no real debate. It's just, well, my book says this. Well, my book says that. That means it's right. Fuck you. Tell me why it's right. Don't come up with the same bullet points. Please. We have enough of that. That's why we're in the mess we're in right now. We need some real thoughtful fucking discussion. And we're not going to be getting it from leadership. They made that quite obvious. We can only get it from ourselves. If you want something done right. Right? So, yeah, I'm kind of opening the floor here. I once again apologize for having it so broad. And I realize this may seem a bit incoherent. I really apologize for that. But for one thing, it's late at night. And number two, I've been having these jumbles of thought about society. I've been thinking about it and agonizing over it, meditating on it for these past few weeks now. I'm just vomiting it all out to you guys, and this is as orderly as I can get it. So, yeah, this has already gone way longer than I wanted it to be, but I'm just opening the floor here. You got some thoughtful responses on where you think society's headed or the development of it, what place we have in it, the way government should be, these types of things. I would like to hear you guys' responses on it and how you think it's being developed and what we should do to keep things going along or not go along, as it were. Like, should we be involved? Should we not? Yeah, again, I'd like to hear some thoughts. I'm gonna be sending this video out, the link out to specific people I would really like to hear some things from. But this is also open to anyone, provided, of course, you give me a thoughtful fucking response, so that I can, compare it to my own and challenge my own and see if I need to change perspective, but also just for the benefit of having the dialogue in the first place. That's what's important, just having that dialogue. Anyway, that's it. Catch you guys later.